why don't we get to eighth grade first? Because this is a movie that's been out for a couple weeks now, limited release, and then this was the first weekend where it was a wider scale release, I believe.
I mean, barely. It's only like 100, 200 theaters, so it's still not very wide. But yeah.
So this is Bo Burnham's first film that he's directed that's not a comedy special. And he wrote and directed this. It's currently sitting at a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes and 90% on Metacritic. I mean, if you want to talk about getting those good reviews, this is one that the critics are loving. And do you think that? Yeah, do you think that consensus is deserved though?
I mean, I think it is. You know, we're getting to Mission Impossible Fall, another movie that's I think at 97%,
98,
and yeah, whatever. So it, I didn't like love eighth grade the way like a lot of people do, but I still think it's good. It would get a positive review from me, and that is what Rotten Tomatoes calculates. So the consensus of positivity is what is correct, right? But this is not a 10 out of 10 movie for me, but that's not what a 98% tells you anyway. So I think that's fair, because I don't see how you really could watch this movie and be like, yeah, bad, 5 out of 10. No one would think that, you know?
There's a lot to like about this movie, and I think probably my favorite thing was the performance by Elsie Fisher, who played the main character, Kayla. You know, we're going to be talking about Mission Impossible, which one of the things I think I like most about Mission Impossible is that it's like a movie where you can like suspend belief, and it doesn't have to be realistic, and you're like okay with it. Eighth grade is almost too realistic. And that's the thing that I think Elsie Fisher brings, is her character felt so real. And I think anyone that goes through that time of their life and has any sort of social issue or any sort of feeling of insecurity, which almost everybody goes through at some point, can look at her and say, I can relate to that moment, right? I know exactly what she's feeling right there. And that's the thing that the movie does best, and almost to a point where it's uncomfortable at times. I mean, there were moments where I was like looking through my hands at the theater because I just felt so much secondhand embarrassment and awkwardness for her. I mean, talk about your perception of Fisher's performance and maybe other performances in the movie that you like.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. This is the first movie of any, you know, I think not the first period, but the first movie of any, you know, credible note that accurately captures how Gen Z kids act in the modern world. You know, the way it portrays the effect of social media on the social life of young kids. You know, and I think that's what's so impressive about the movie, is that it so nails that, which is something that like older people will always like throw stones at because they don't understand it. You know, the massive anxiety that something like social media does to affect on people, and how the way people act on social media is very different from the way they act in real life. In a lot of cases, especially for kids now that are coming up in this world, and someone like me and you who, you know, came up just really before it blew up. So we kind of have the best of both worlds with that, right? Like we also know what a CD is and a VHS, as well as know how to use Instagram. We know we were both
a cassette tape.
Exactly. Yeah. But like these Gen Z kids, they're the next generation. They're that's not the world they know. But the fact that this movie actually shows you that is so impressive. And you know, I don't know what to make of Bo Burnham as like a creator still. Like he came up as a YouTube star, then became a popular stand-up, then he directed some stand-up specials from Jerron Carmichael and Mulaney. And I made this movie.
Chris Rock.
Oh yeah, and Tambourine, right? And at this point, like he's made this movie, and I think his sensibilities are really impressive, and the fact that he was able to cast it right, and you know, I thought his camera was pretty cool at times. The way he would move it around and really get close up on Elsie's face, I think was really effective. But I'm still not really sure where I stand on him. I think I just want to see more. But obviously, you know, a pretty stellar debut film by all accounts, obviously.
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about another movie we did recently, which was we reviewed recently, which was Boots Riley's "Sorry to Bother You," and that was his first film as well. And they're such different like scales. I mean, eighth grade is such a small story about one child becoming a teenager, and Boots Riley's looking at the story of a whole socioeconomic, political perspective and system that is affecting people in a lot of negative ways. But they each had these perspectives that I think tell important stories and stories about the moment. Like you said, Burnham's really catching Gen Z for the first time, like, and really telling the story accurately of what it's like to be Gen Z. And he does it in a lot of interesting ways, which I think give me a lot of hope for him as a creator moving forward. Like, you talk about that persona that you portray online, and the way he uses Kayla's YouTube videos to portray a different person online than she actually is when she's offline.
Right. Talking about self-confidence and bettering yourself when she's not taking any of her own advice.
Yeah, it's really smart. Really, really smart. I also thought, like, the tracking shot he did where she was walking to the pool was really, and the way he was like showing the people at the pool and the things that they were doing to kind of create this almost like zoo, like wilderness, like animalistic feeling was really great. So there's a lot of things, a lot of storytelling tricks in there that I think are really, really good. He also creates a lot of atmosphere, like when she's sitting in the back of the car with that older teenager who plays Truth and Dare with her. It really creates this feeling of like, oh shit, like, and like the lighting is great. It's fantastic. So I think he has at least as a videographer and storyteller, good career now. As a director, we'll see moving forward. Hopefully he's able to continue to translate it, but I
also like that music cue he had whenever her crush came on screen. It was just like blast out of nowhere. I thought that was effective and smart. I think it's like, like they kind of hammer it home at the end when she's at the mall and they're like, how old were you when you got Snapchat? It's just something that's so prevalent in these kids' lives, and I think it's done well. And I think the only thing that was a little questionable to me was just that, like, I thought the relationship with her dad was a little, I don't want to say unrealistic, but I kind of like raised an eyebrow a few times. Like, no fucking dad lets their kid wear headphones and use their phone at the table like that. The dinner table.
You might be surprised.
I don't know, man. Like if anything, they just say like, hey, take your dinner and go watch TV with it. Like, I don't know. I thought that was weird, especially because, like, by all accounts, he's like the most loving dad.
Right.
So, like, I don't know. Their relationship seemed a little contrived to me, but it was fine. I like the way it ended. It concluded.
I actually thought Josh Hamilton, who played her dad, was really, really good in terms of playing this kind of like this dad trying to figure out how to be a parent. He was talking to her at the end. It almost got like a Call Me By Your Name type vibe with Mark Stahlberg's monologue at the end to Timothy Chalamet. The one that.
Oh, sure.
I got that kind of vibe when they're sitting around the fire. I thought he delivered that really well. And I think he just kind of playing this dad is trying to figure it out. And he even kind of admits that around the fire. Like, when your mom left, I was really scared and didn't know if you were going to be okay. And then you were. But I mean, check this movie out and support these small films. Cause I think, we talked about Sorry to Bother You and a couple of other small films like Chappaquiddick that we saw earlier in the year. And these are important stories to be telling and to be supporting. So definitely. And you said the soundtrack, I think just in general, it really caught like the Gen Z feel. So a lot of really great work on this, a lot of things to like. So check it out.